plaintiff, Brittany Isaacs, met the defendant when he was incarcerated, and they eventually started dating. Brittany claims after he was released, they moved in together, and that's when things went downhill. She's suing him for damaged property and lost wages. Defendant Robert Cross says while incarcerated, Brittany assured him she was being faithful. But once he moved in with her, he discovered she'd been cheating on him while he was locked up.
All rise. This court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Greg Mathis presiding. You may now be seated.
All right, start with you, man.
I met the defendant, Robert Cross, while he was incarcerated in 2017. My brother was incarcerated with him. So my brother called me and kind of told me about him. But at first, I was reluctant. At the time, I was kind of going back and forth in a relationship. And then he called me one day, and I can't even remember the conversation, but we end up talking every day. And of course, when you're talking to someone every day, me or him never had intentions on being in a relationship. But of course, when you're talking to somebody every day, you start to like them, and then turns into love because we talked to each other and started to develop a relationship over about 2.5 years, almost 3. Fell in love with each other, decided that we were going to be in a relationship.
Yeah.
Now with that, as much as, I wanted to believe that, we were going to have this happily ever after, we did meet while he was incarcerated. So I was talking to other people, during the duration of...
You were dating other people while you were in love with him?
Yes, I was.
And you still think you were in love?
It was the physical that I guess that I was missing. So that's what I was, reaching on the outside for. He was there for me, mentally and spiritually, and there to, talk to me. But, I was missing the physical. So, yes, I did, talk to, other people here and there throughout the span of our relationship.
All right. You were in love with him, but having sex with others.
Yes.
What else?
So, he was coming home soon. So, we, of course, decided that he was going to move in with me. So he got out. Everything was smooth for the first couple weeks. When he got out, I cut all those relationships off, cut all those people off. I no longer was talking to those people. I actually asked him to, would he forgive me for everything that was done, prior to him coming home? He said, yeah. So we started off smooth. Everything was smooth. So, I had, old picture or whatever, and he found the old picture of me and someone. I didn't know it first, so he didn't tell me right off the bat. It didn't come out until we had our first altercation. I told him that he could leave. That turned into a big ordeal. That's when my first phone was broken. He threw my phone from one side of my apartment pool to the next.
All right, let me allow him to speak. Let me allow him to speak now. Sorry?
Okay, I met Brittany while I was incarcerated. Like she said, that was in October.
Let me ask you,
November.
How much time did you have left when you met her?
2.5 years left.
Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah. December 12th, we made it official, decided we was going to be together. Like she said, everything was smooth. We talked every day. Fell in love, I guess. Right before I came home, we got into some arguments on the phone. Like it wasn't the same as when, we first started talking. So I had asked her a question. I say, because I noticed everything was different. I said, have you been, dealing with anybody else? And if you have, you can let me know. And, we can go our separate ways because we were going to move in together. But like I said, we were getting into it. So I decided that, I'm going to look for different apartments by myself. I was going to move in by myself. She insisted on, no, we going to live together. I'm not doing anything, making it seem like I'm tripping. So I was like, all right, whatever. So when I get out, everything is fine. Like she said, the first couple weeks, she asked me to go in the drawer and get something. So I go in the drawer and I see these pictures. And, I'm like, man, hold on, man. I look at the date on the picture. It's Christmas.
What type of pictures?
Her hugged up with another guy at her job's party. And no, I kept it to myself. So I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to say nothing because she was like, I want you to forgive me for everything that I've done before you come home. I want us to move past this.
Hold on. Did she admit to something? People usually admit first before they ask for forgiveness.
See, that's the thing though. I asked. You remember I told you, I said, you been with anybody? She like, no.
Right.
She saying like, I'm crazy.
So how did you get to forgiveness?
It never was no forgiveness. I was just like, okay. All I said was okay.
That's just odd that somebody asked you for forgiveness and you haven't called them. I would say, what have you done to me?
And I asked that.
Okay.
According to her, nothing.
Okay.
She don't do nothing. So
You met her 2.5 years. You had 2.5 years left. Mm-hmm. You didn't think she was a young woman, gonna ever have sex for 2.5 years?
Oh, I knew it most definitely. That's why I asked her, I'm like, if you've been doing anything, tell me. I can go about my own business.
What do you mean go about your own business? If you know she gonna do that, you wouldn't get into the business.
But if you telling somebody that you're not doing anything, I'm gonna take your word for it.
But you asked.
Most definitely.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Common sense tell you they are. I mean, I don't know. A lot of guys, somehow they under the delusion that if they had 20 years, that their woman ain't gonna mess with nobody. And they're just unrealistic. I guess the ego or just the pain of knowing or of course you don't want to imagine nobody else with your woman. And so you come to get delusional. Hey, she ain't gonna mess around for 20 years. Tell me about the damaged property. How did that go down?
Okay, so we were sharing the same car. I had to come up to his job in order to get the key. I called him I called him when I was outside. He didn't answer his phone. I kind of like just vividly remember everything that kind of happened with that spat. But anyway, he threw my purse out the window and at his job, and I had to gather my things. And as I was gathering my things outside, because I was looking for things, he Ubered, I guess, back to the house. So when he Ubered to the house or whatever, he ended up taking some things out the house or whatever. So we got into a fight about that. Well, so he took my phone and threw my phone from, like I said, from one side of the pool to the other side of the pool. So that's that first phone. But he moved out and started living with his cousin. So we broke up, but we still was talking. And I went and I spent the night with him over his cousin's house. And the next morning he was dropping me off. And when he was dropping me off, I was listening to music on his phone and a text message came through. And it was from, a woman. And I was like, well, glad you moved on. He got really upset with me about it. And I was like, I know you're not about to get upset with me for something you did. So again, we ended up getting in a spat and he threw my phone in the middle of a busy street.
How did he get it from you? How did he get it from you?
So at that point, my phone was in a car at that point because I had took the keys because he pulled up on the side of the restaurant and basically tried to put me out the car. And I'm like, I'm not getting out the car or whatever. So when he was like, yeah, you are going to get out the car. I'm like, no. So I took the keys out the car and I'm just like, if I can't come, ain't nobody going nowhere. My phone was in the car at that time and he took my phone and football through my phone. So with that, that's the damages I'm showing for that phone because I end up.
I got the phones. What else, ma'am? What else?
Okay, so we split for a while. We ended up talking back here in December. Mm-hmm. We got into an argument, and he thought that I broke his TV, but I didn't break his TV. So he threw my computer against the wall.
All right, let me hear from you now, sir.
All right. As far as the first phone, when I left work, like she said, I took a lift back to the house. So I started grabbing all my clothes, all the shoes. I forgot that it was a Ring camera on the door. So she pulled back up as I was walking out with all the stuff. So I start walking across the parking lot. She jumps on my back and gets to screaming. So I get her off my back. She's like, I'm calling the police right now. And I'm like, for what? I'm leaving. I ain't touch you. I'm getting my stuff. I'm leaving. So the police get on the phone. So I heard the police. I'm not trying to go back to prison. I just came home a month and a half ago. I literally grabbed the phone and threw the phone.
The police
Like,
she did call the police?
Yeah, the police was on the phone when I grabbed the phone. I grabbed the phone and threw the phone across the pool. That's exactly what I did.
Ma'am, you called the police on it?
The police was not on the phone. I told him I was going to call the police. The police wasn't on the phone yet. Police wasn't on the phone when he grabbed my phone.
Why did you tell him that?
Because he was taking things that he wasn't supposed to take.
Like what?
Things that I bought that I feel like he shouldn't take. And then I didn't know what he did.
And you almost sent the man back to prison because y'all had an argument. But I don't know. She, as she just said, was convinced that she was doing right. If you thought that he was taking stuff that didn't belong to him, you were calling the police. But that's no reason to take her phone and throw it away. So I don't know. But the good news is at this point, all you're being charged with is damaged property. So you tell me, you threw that phone away to avoid her calling the police. What's the next incident where you damaged her phone?
We was in a car together. I was in a rental. And a female had texted my phone and she had my phone and she got upset. I already knew it was going to go left. So I pulled on the parking lot of a restaurant and I told her to get out. She like, I'm not going nowhere. I'm like, man, just get out. She like, no. So she ended up, while the car was running, she ended up snatching the key out the ignition, breaking the key off in the ignition. So when she broke that, I just ended up taking her phone and throwing it across the street. Cause I felt like she broke the key.
And you got mad and retaliated, which could have sent you back. Now she did. If she didn't call the police that time, she did you a favor. Because you didn't have a reason to throw her phone out other than to hit her back, essentially, or destroy her property. Thank God that's your thing, is destroying property and not hitting a woman. So let's get to the computer.
Yeah, she ends up coming over. We talking or whatever. Like, we get in an argument. So she like, well, I'm about to break your TV. So I go in the room. I see my TV laying flat down, face down on the ground. So I'm thinking she broke my TV. So I ended up breaking her computer. I'm like, you broke my TV, I'm gonna break your computer. And that was it.
Retaliating again. What's your counterclaim for $4,000 emotional distress?
Every time we get into an argument, the first thing she does is says, I'm calling the police. Even though she said she didn't call the police, she called the police because my PO called me, was like, she called him also.
And your PO didn't ask you to come in?
No, my PO.
Thank God.
He already knew like the situation with her. He'd be like, man, just stay away from her. You know she volatile. You know she gonna argue with you. So he'd just be like, man, you just don't go around. He's like, as long as you ain't do nothing to her, he's like, man, you've been doing everything right. So just stay away from her.
Good. You had a good PO. Thank God. Mm-hmm.
And I know the retaliation part not right. It's just every time I heard that I'm calling the police or something like that, I'm like, man, I ain't trying to go back. And they all. Well,
the only thing I'm hearing, sir, that might be actionable by you is that she at the very least threatened to destroy your property when she put your television down or gave you the impression or gave you a veiled threat or however you want to consider it. But that is something that would cause emotional distress if you think someone is about to destroy a television and you're not going to be able to watch basketball, football anymore. No, ma'am. I don't see any emotional distress coming from you. I hear mutual everything. All these arguments, y'all mutually doing each other bad. I'll grant you $3,200, and that's it. Have a good day. Your claim is dismissed, sir.